The reason I'm here is to give everybody an update on the Goose Wing steampunk sidecar bike and a couple of others as well. I'm waiting for a bunch of gang to come on, so I'm going to sort of blether a bit of shite for a couple of minutes just to sort of keep things going. The plan for the bike is all but fabricated. I have maybe another day or a day and a bit left on it. I'll be stripping it down for the weekend. So my whole plan is basically to have half a garage full of bike bits strewn all over the floor at the end of the weekend, and nothing on those two benches, or bits on those two benches. So now that we have sort of wasted a couple of minutes while I'm waiting for a few people to get on, and they've made their tea and they're sitting down and they're all interested in what's going on, I'll give you a quick run through what's happening. Right, I have my torch. The reason I have my torch is I'm going to show you through the sort of the dark recesses and all the bits and pieces that on the other videos you wouldn't normally have seen. Right, so here's the crack. The bike in itself is all but finished. I have a few bits and pieces left to tidy up. I have things like these. I haven't actually welded them in place, so they're just sitting there to give you an idea of what's going on. There's leather grips going on here. That's coming off the gear lever. There's a leather grip going on there. That's the seat that's actually going on it. That was built for it about 3 years back. The only difference between that now and when the bike will be finished is I'm having it stripped. The coating that's on the leather stripped and darkened down slightly, and I'm getting the seat on the sidecar to match. Guy by the name of Vitek from Badass Creation. If you look it up on Facebook, the guy's really, really good to see made the seat. Right, carburetors and all are in. Cables, I had the cables sorted. I ended up having to, hang on a second, I will bang on me thing there. If you could, the clutch cable is way down deep in the bowels inside there, way in there. I ended up having to make half the clutch cable because the cable that I had was about 2 feet too long. So I ended up having to cut the cable, cut it all down, and get a new nipple in place and fit it in there, which right now works fine. It works really well. So I'm happy with that. I had the same problem with both the throttle and the choke cables. Same problem. I needed a really, really long throttle cable and a really, really short choke cable. Both of them are now sorted. I ended up having to make them myself.
Joe Collins fired up, lad.
So, what's the crack, Indy? So the sprockets, I cut up bits and pieces of stuff that I found all around the place and just sort of welded them in places there just for decorations and to get that all sorted. This is an old pyrene fire extinguisher. I got that off a buddy of mine in Watford maybe 3-4 years ago now, and I'm going to use that as an expansion bottle. So what you'll have now is there'll be a copper pipe coming out of here, and the copper pipe will be spiraling down. It will actually go in here, and as an expansion tank from the radiator. That's the main radiator feed coming up. That will be bolted in through here on springs, but that comes later when all the front end and stuff is sorted out. That whole front end is going, except the wheel. The wheel is the only thing that's staying. If you look at the wheel, I'm after giving the wheel a coat of paint. I actually stripped it all out. I actually put there was holes here with slots. I filled all these, welded new pieces in here, filled them all out and repainted the whole thing. So that's done in black and copper. So that's that done. The discs are done in bronze and copper. So, but the forks and stuff are going because there's a whole new leading link front end going to be made for this. So that's that done. If you come around here on the headlight, I bought that headlight above at the show in Cork about, what was it, last March. Really liked it. I said it's perfect for this build. It suits it nicely. I have a H4 headlight bulb fitted into it, so it'll make a nice headlight. I know again I put more sprockets there, as you see, just to sort of give it a bit of decoration and to fit in with the theme that I'm looking for. The rest of the stuff I'll come back to in a minute. Sidecar. I took the front off the sidecar so that you could actually see the setup inside. That's a pedal box from a rally car. These are your 3 master cylinders. 2 of these master cylinders are working off 1 brake pedal. One of the master cylinders goes to the back wheel of the bike. The other goes to the sidecar wheel. And this master cylinder here goes to the two front discs. The reason I've got 2 master cylinders on the back wheels, or the sidecar wheel and the back wheel, is because the pedal is set up so as it puts more pressure on one master cylinder than it does on the other, which means that the back brake of the bike will get more braking than the sidecar wheel. So that's that. Again, I've done all sorts of infill panels, decorational panels. You saw them the last day. I actually made them and filled them up. They're sort of imitation vents, so to speak. Same thing with the copper. These are all as you can see, everything works fine. That's just put there because they'll be all taken off for painting anyway. I made this piece. There was a joint up the sidecar here and across the top. And the guys who made the sidecar, all they actually did was spot welded it here and there, which was, to my opinion, there was no way you're going to get away with that. So I made up a whole new piece for it. So I'll be running the full length of weld up both sides on that, and that'll be all properly sorted, and it can't move. The sidecar mudguard gave me no end of trouble. You have a light built into the front of it here, a marker light for the outside. It took a lot. This thing was probably the most work that I've had to do. Made an outside mudguard bracket for it, mounted to a bush on the, or mounted to a bush on the axle. But what I've now got to do is I've got to drill out that bush, and I've got to put another bush inside that, because as the suspension goes up and down, hang on a second, I'll give you, see if I can give you an example. Hang on, because I'm bear with me. As the suspension goes up and down, the mudguard moves backwards and forwards. So the mudguard has to move freely on the bracket has to move freely on the wheel axle. So there has to be a bush put through there, and I have a bush to go on the inside for the caliper as well. So that'll be all sorted when I get the whole thing pulled apart next week. Right, back here now.
So you got Pat Noonan and Henry O'Brien here.
Hi guys.
Well.
Hi Pat and Henry. Right. I've the inside brackets here done. What I done was I welded a plate underneath onto the swinging arm and tapped it. I made another bracket here, all the side to match the front bracket, but this one I used the sprocket as a brace, and that plate then is bolted through to the bottom plate. So that's how that's all sorted out. So that mudguard, as the wheel goes up and down, the mudguard moves backwards and forwards to go up the swinging arm. So that's that sorted. My back bumper is actually the remains of an old trampoline. It actually fits perfectly in through here onto the chassis of the sidecar. So that's the back end of it. The back end of it all tidied up. So we're nearly back around now to the other end of the bike. The back wheel now is all rebuilt. New bearings, new everything inside the back wheel. Same thing. Back wheel is all done out in copper and black. In case you haven't noticed, I have 3 wheels, and all three of them look different. I've a solid wheel here, semi-solid wheel here, and a completely open wheel on the other side. The reason being is I didn't want 2 wheels looking the same and 1 wheel looking odd. So I said rather have 3 wheels look odd than having 2 wheels look odd and one wheel look odd and 2 look the same. So that's my logic anyway. You can make from that what you like. Right. Okay. That's sorted. Clutch, we'll do the clutch. Why the hell not? Right, hang on a second, I'll climb up here. Right, you go around there, Jen.
Okie dokie.
Right. What I did with the clutch was I wanted a suicide shifter with the clutch lever on it. The reason being, I just thought it would suit the build. The problem I was faced with, there's a push rod at the end here going all the way down to the gear lever. It's drilled into the gear lever itself. But the problem was the whole bloody thing was flopping all over the place. It wasn't stopping anywhere. So what I did was I have a kind of a metal scrap plate up the back, and I pulled 2 bed springs off of it. And the beauty about it now is wherever you pull that, it goes back in, and it'll always return back to its original position. So you can flip it in a gear. It's a bit like a paddle kind of thing, only a very, very primitive version of it. But it does the job and everything works fine. So that's that. Now I'll give you a quick
Dan wants to know, will it be bouncy with all the trampoline stuff?
Oh yeah, very much so.
It'll have to be with Mick and it.
Come here, Dan, I'm a bit old for bouncy now, lad.
Linda says, tell the truth, it's for your fat ass.
Oh, I like it. Right, people, we'll have one quick look in here now. Just I tell you what, all the jokers are on this evening, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right, in here. there's our pedal box. I'm making up 2 new brackets here. I have to put locator cups in here for the 2 brackets to keep the whole lot up, right? So as you can see, everything is all mounted inside here. The brake pipes, 3 brake pipes coming through in there, along with the throttle cable. And I had to put a stopper here into the pedal, because every time I put the pedal pressed it, every time it came back too far and popped off the spring, the return spring for the cable. So that's all sorted and that's done. What you all wanted to see is this. Here's my steering setup. All in, just needs tightening up. It's all in. This is the whole steering column off a quad. The remains of the quad is outside the front door. What you have basically is, it's a central shaft. I split it, put a slug into it, drilled it through. So what you have is the whole thing comes apart. Down the bottom you have a fork, and on the end of that fork will eventually be a track rod or a rose joint, I haven't figured out which yet, which will go to the back of the front forks. This guy is onto a 9" by 6" plate that's bolted to the bottom of the floor here. So that thing is solid as a rock, it can't go nowhere. And I basically made a nice little cover then just to cover the holes on it. This thing can also be taken apart. The bottom here is welded in. There's no slug up here. So literally I can just lift the whole lot off. Now the steering wheel, because like as I've always said, I'm not the smallest of fellas. I've that taken off, I can take that off and on whenever I want, and it just makes it easy to get in and out. So it's the quick release just goes on. It is literally as simple as that. I had to get my Land Rover bit in, so I got a 4-wheel drive knob off a Land Rover, and that's the seat adjuster to move the seat backwards and forwards so that I can, my short legs can get to the pedals. So that's that. No, I'll give you a quick run through on the pipe work and on the cables.
Dan wants to know, you're putting air rams on the sidecar panel.
No, I tried it, but I can't get air rams soft enough. Because what's happening was, I have air rams there. I got the weakest ones I could find, and that's what the holes ended up for. But the problem with the air rams was, as I was pushing them down, they were warping the lid. So when you push them down, the lid was spreading. So that's unfortunately that's not going to happen. So there'll have to be stays. The equipment, like something like a bonnet of a car. It'll be a very, very basic system. Righty. I wanted all my pipes, all my brake pipes and my stuff visible. First of all, I found a piece of brass pipe. That's the throttle cable. It runs through the brass pipe all the way up here and back down through onto the carburetors. My 3 copper pipes here are for my 3 different master cylinders to the 3 different wheels. They're all running down, and this one is for the front. The other 2 are heading down to the back. The sidecar one then goes under the floor and up. So that's the 3 of them sorted. I've actually managed to get myself a brake pipe straightener, so all the wobbliness on them pipes, I can use some of them, but I'll have others which will be sorted afterwards. But they came out very well. I'm very happy with them. On the funkiest thing I liked was this. A buddy of mine, Ken, gave me an old oxygen acetylene torch, and I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with it. But I stayed there, Jen. Okay. So this is my choke. It's the bottom half of the oxygen acetylene torch, and I drilled the whole thing all the way through, fed a cable all the way through it, and now that's my choke. So it works perfect. That's actually, I'm very happy with it. Actually, it worked really, really well.
Trina says it looks amazing.
Hi, Trina. Right. Other than that, I'm trying to think now. I have my give you a good look at the leather work, because the leather work on this thing is amazing. The guy is absolutely gifted. So you can see the kind of leather work he's doing that he's done on it. This was done, I think, about 3 years ago, and is still absolutely perfect. So he's going to do my seat again, and he's going to make a fabulous job of it. That's his logo. So you'll find him on Facebook. He's a nice guy, very nice guy. Right. No, the issue that I have in the process of all of the.
Andy's on. She says it's looking amaze balls.
Oh yeah. In the process of there is a kind of a major kick in the arse that I got with this, and I only got it there a few days ago. In the process of doing all my bits and bobbies on this, I was doing a bit of drilling, and I came across this guy. I have pinholes on my frame. Now, for those of you who don't know, Pinholes is the last thing you want to see on a frame because it means that the frame is rotting from the inside out. So I can repair it in terms of, I could repair it if it was a bike. If I was using it as a bike, I can still repair it as a sidecar, but the problem with it is, I don't know how far this rot is going. And because of the stresses associated with taking a sidecar, which are, there's a lot of them, I can't risk it because I don't want the frame bending and folding underneath me. So, with that in mind, I put an ad up on Goose Customs and on the other page about 2 weeks ago looking for a frame for a Goose Wing. And I picked up this one. This is my donor bike. I picked that up at the weekend. Perfect frame, absolutely mint frame, and a load of other really good usable bits, so I got that right. So my job now for Thursday and Friday is the 2 of these are being stripped of the frames completely, all being stripped out. So that's my new donor frame. Now all I have to do with that is strip it out. This won't take long, 2 hours to strip most of that bike down. What I have to do with that is all the sort of fancy bit, like the sprockets and the bits and pieces, the bracing, like on that one over there, I have the sprocket bracing is in there. So I have to cut them off of that and put them onto this. And all the brackets for holding on the little leather side panels and other stuff. There's about 15 or 16 brackets in total that I have to weld onto this frame. But it's not the end of the world. It's maybe take me a half a day to get all that sorted. So it's the joys of bike building. This is what happens.
Dave wants to know, how's the throttle operated?
The throttle is operated by foot. It's basically, there's my boy. You can have a look in here. There's the throttle cable. Throttle cable goes through here.
I can't see with your hands.
Sorry, hang on 1 second now. Throttle cable goes through here onto the back of the pedal. Pedal is the same as a car, exactly the same system as a car. Push down pedal, push down she goes, take your foot off, she stops. And the cable runs through here. Cable is all the way through here, up through here, and down into the carburetors. It actually works really, really well. So that's that sorted. What else? Any more questions, guys? Fire them out. There's no, like, I'll answer them. I'll answer as many as I possibly can. The brakes are basically the same system. I have a small little bit more engineering. Well, the front end is all but built. All the engineering is with a buddy of mine. Yeah, no, but I'm saying in terms of the engineering of it. Okay. There's a buddy of mine, Brendan Barry from Torview Precision and Klein. Hi, Brendan. How's it going? He's the guy who is doing the engineering for the front end. He's making the slabs and he's making the pieces at the bottom. Another buddy of mine, Ger Conlon, is going to put the whole lot together as a single piece because it requires a fair bit of more skill than what I possess to make sure that this thing is done right. The front end outside here, you can see, if you look under there, can you reach under there, Jen?
Maybe.
You can see the piece. You can see that part turning there. That's the front. That's the bottom of the steering column. There's going to be a bar come off of that, and there'll be a bar come off of that, go straight onto the back of the front wheel, and that's what's actually going to turn the front wheel. It's basically a simple lever up, bar across, half turn on the steering wheel one way and the other way, which will give you full lock on the bike. It's not like a car where you'll be doing multiple turns.
Linda wants to know, are you going to be wearing clothes while driving it? I think it's optional.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I don't think that'd be a pretty sight, no, in fairness. Me balls naked going down the road with no clothes on.
Andy wants to know, do you need anyone to try it for you? You'll have to come over for Wales, just for the day.
It depends on how far I'll be let go, because I can be stopped 200 yards down the road by the guards, who knows. But sure, look, we'll give it a go and we'll see what happens.
Dan wants to know when you need it finished by.
I need it finished by... a friend of mine is getting married. Really good friends of mine are getting married in October. At least that's the plan. I'm hoping this still will be the case with this bloody virus shite that we're going through at the moment, but I'm hoping that'll still be the case. This is built for their wedding. For no other reason than that. They wanted to hire a sidecar outfit for their wedding. For insurance reasons, they weren't allowed to do that. And as far as I was concerned, the least I could do is, like, I was going to build one anyway. So this is my thing. I'm going to get it finished and get it sorted and get it up and running. And as long as it's running 100% safely and properly by the 31st of October, then I'm happy with that. No, my actual plan itself is I want to get a bit of riding in this for the summer. So I want this up and running, ideally speaking, by the end of July, if at all possible. It'll all depend on sort of a few bits and pieces. the wiring is a big issue because this thing has to be completely wired from scratch. There's no wiring of any kind available for this bike. So I'm putting a lot of sort of fancy stuff into it. I'm putting like there's an electronic brain going into this thing that will control all the electrical functions of the bike. And if I so choose, I can start this thing from 30 feet away with a remote control key fob. It's it's getting all modern electronics. It's getting done properly. I put up a post on my Facebook yesterday, sort of ranting about getting caught for a load of money by UPS. What was in that parcel was all the gubbins for rebuilding the carburetors. It's all this sort of top quality diaphragms and stuff that I got in for the carburetors. So they're going to be done in the next week. That'll be all sorted. So we'll have new brakes, new carburetors, new wiring, pretty much everything. It'll be an old bike with all new stuff on it. That's my plan. So at least I know when I go down the road, it'll start, it'll stop, and it'll drive. After that, then sort of we'll see what happens.
Shaggy's boy, Mikey, says good luck with the project. He's here too.
Hi, Mikey.
And Shaggy wanted to know: are you putting leading links on the front end?
Yes.
Yeah.
The leading links are going to be different. What you're going to have with the leading link, Shaggy, is leading links. The normal conventional leading links are same as this. You have two bars coming down. You have a loop then coming up the middle, and you have the loop comes up and sort of ends here, and you have a load of fancy chrome springs and all this kind of gubbins going up here. Well, that's not for me. It's not. That's much too flashy. So what I'm doing is I'm having the two bars going down and my loop coming up the middle, but in the middle here there's a big lump of a Hagon shock, monoshock going in the middle. Nothing else. It's a fully adjustable Hagon shock because my biggest concern with this thing was going to be weight distribution, because I reckon it'll actually work out quite well because there'll be nobody on the bike and I'll be in the sidecar. So the sidecar is actually quite light, but it's not going to be with me in it. So with the weight of me and the sidecar, I'm expecting it to sort of fairly well balance out the weight of the bike. No, I'm not that fucking heavy, but look, we're close enough to it. So there'll be more, like the shocks on the bike are adjustable. The shock here is adjustable, so we should be able to sort of work out something fairly handy. I've had to. Another job I've had to do. These bloody brackets. This was a universal kit that came out with this sidecar frame. The problem with the kit is it uses these bloody straps to go around the frame. Now, theoretically, you think everything, it'll be work once you squeeze them, it'll work fine, but it won't. I've actually been in this car, I've actually stood inside the sidecar and I bounced the sidecar to test it, and what happened was the sidecar collapsed. Because these things are slipping. They're actually sliding in, sliding out. No matter how tight you put them, depending on how much bouncing I do inside it, and as far as I'm concerned, I want to bounce in this thing all bloody day and I want it to stay where it's supposed to be. So I'm not happy with it. It's not safe. So what I'm actually going to do is around the top here and around the bottom here, I'm actually going to, that's only powder cut, I'm going to weld it.
Perry wants to know, is there any science in the geometry of the sidecar wheel position, or are you going on a suck it and see philosophy?
No, there's actually a science, would you believe? I'm still trying to remember. Jesus Christ, Perry, I'm trying to remember it now. Right. The science is...
Dan says sip lots of cider and try it.
I could do the pint of cider. No, Jesus, I'm thirsty now. Yes, there is definitely a science to the wheel. The wheel has to be no more than, I think, when you work out the axle has to be no more, I think, than, 60% from the front wheel to the back wheel or something along those lines. But trust me on this, there's definitely a science to it. There's parameters about where it's supposed to be. And it's within them. It's between 60. I think it's 60 and 70% or something from the front wheel to the back wheel, or something along those lines. Trust me, I'm a professional. Yeah. The only other thing I was talking about on this was in here. Was the
Dan Duggan's offering you 10 grand, I think.
Is he?
For the bike, yeah.
That's the job. I'll see you in the morning, Dan. The speedo gauge I had to put in here because it was the handiest place to put it. I didn't want to put it into the sidecar. I want to try and keep the minimal amount of electrics in the sidecar if I can at all possible. And it's easily visible from the seat. The only other thing I'm doing is I'm making a box. I want a box here. I'm going to make some sort of a box, like a toolbox, a storage box type setup a timber box with timber and copper and brass and a few bits and pieces of, just to match up everything else. I put up a post, I can't remember, was it last week or maybe the week before, about the paint job I'm going doing on this. I'm doing a mahogany paint job on this.
Shaggy wants to know, did you measure the section behind the seat based on a cider box? It kind of looks like it.
Do you know something? It would actually look pretty cool there as well.
You could stack a couple of them too, couldn't you?
Well, I would if I had them. I have a half cider box left. What do I have? Oh, Jesus, hang on. One second, so. Right. That will close. Not no. What was it? Oh yeah, I'm doing a mahogany paint job all the way through here. I done the samples off it there. Was it last week or the week before? If you go down through my post, guys, you'll find it. What now? The other thing I'm going to do, I'll give you an idea of what kind of a paint job I'm going to do on it. Everything from here down is going black. The mahogany paint job will carry through to the step here. I'm going to doing a whole mahogany paint job, similar to what I've done on the sidecar, down the side from here up to here. That's all. So that'll all look like timber. Center panel here is going black, but it will have a load of gears of all different sizes, and they'll be sort of from there'll be a lot of them down here, and they'll be thinning out as they're going up along here, and they'll be lacquered into place. And I'll be doing the same on the far side. All the framework is going the same color as the frame at the moment on the bike. It's going to kind of a bronzy color. So the whole frame of the bike will be done that. And there's the battery, where the battery will be going in here. And I have the battery, the front of the battery is covered in copper and brass, and there's a leather belt to hold the battery in. The timber effect coming down the sidecar, that will be coming all the way as far as here. I'll be running the edge all the way up along here in timber, all the way up around the top inside the windscreen, and down the other side to finish off here. I have a lot of work ahead yet. I have the bulk of it done, and the hard work done in terms of the building. That's done. Now what remains now is take the thing apart, build it, and put it back together. I'll give you one quick look at that's my grill. That's just basically one big gear with a piece of mesh behind it and a piece of steel behind that. What I'm toying with the idea of doing is, I reckon it might be cool to put some, to light it up, is to put a couple of holes in the back and put a couple of LEDs in behind it. That'll sort of light up the whole thing. So we'll see. I'll give it a look and we'll see if it'll work, and if it don't, it don't. Simple as that. So guys, listen, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. It's great fun. I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe. Mind yourselves. Wear a mask. Some cases you want to wear a whole helmet, but we won't go into that. So listen, we'll talk to you soon, okay? Mind yourselves. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.